Once upon a time, a city girl named Felicity and a city boy named Peter bought an abandoned 1830s farmhouse in New York. And today's video is basically a montage of painting. We have been trying to get the house painted before our first winter weather event. So the events in this video are going to take place over several days, and you're going to see the house every time that we go to visit it and see the updates to the paint. You will see it as well. There's also a couple of updates to the inside of the house. The hot water heater has been installed, and we have got a new sink, which is very exciting. Before we get into the first clip, this is coming out to you a couple days before Thanksgiving, and I want to say that I am incredibly grateful for all of you. There's a lot that's been going on this year. Obviously, buying the house tops the grateful list. And right under that is all the incredible support that I have received from my support network and that Peter has received from his support network. And honestly, probably right underneath that is this YouTube channel. The people that I've met here in the comments, all of you who have left such thoughtful and interesting comments, either about the history of New York or the history of old houses, or you share a same love of cemeteries that I do. I had no idea when I started documenting this journey that these videos would be seen by anybody other than friends and family. And the fact that so many of you are watching and interested and invested, it's hard to describe exactly what that means. And I really want to say thank you to all of you and wish you a wonderful Thanksgiving season if you're in the US. If you're not in the US, it's business as normal, but I believe most of you are in the US. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I hope you're having a wonderful day will have a wonderful day with family and friends. And with that said, let's get into painting. So here she is, our lovely porch. They have done more of the painting up near the top of the porch. So they've done the gingerbreading. I'm not sure you can call it gingerbread if it's not that fancy, but they've done the gingerbreading all in white, and then they've done the accent color above it in green. So this is what it looks like looking down the porch. So that looks great. And if I take you to the south side, last time we were here, they hadn't done all of the pillars yet. The one on the end hasn't been done yet, but the rest of the pillars are now done. So this will give you, close your eyes and imagine away all of the construction material and new windows and doors. But generally speaking, first impressions, white and green, this is what she's going to look like when you drive up with the brown deck boarding. They haven't done any of the deck boarding yet because that's the very last thing to be painted, because we don't want to spill anything on it once it's been done. So that's pretty exciting. And then they have also, so they've gone all the way up to the roof peak on the left side, and they started on the right side. So let me walk around here. So that's what the back side looks like today. So she's going to be all white. Eventually, I would like to have the chimney green. I think that'll look really stunning coming right down the middle, but we do not have the time or funds to do that at the momentito. So I believe that's just going to stay either the color it is now, or they might do it white if they have time and inclination. And then, of course, the windows still need to be edged on this side. So exciting to see progress moving along. We do have a week, well, less than a week. It's supposed to start raining on Thursday. Today is Saturday, so they have a few more days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, of dry weather in the 45 and up range on the thermometer. So hopefully that's enough time to finish up all the bits that need finishing before it starts pouring down rain. In the basement for the first time probably in a couple of months, because they've started installing the hot water heater. So this is our new hot water heater controller. It's called Eco Touch, and the boiler, the old boiler here, has been removed, which is what that pipe coming out of the wall is, and then that's the old exit pipe there too. So the other thing I wanted to show you, because they've been working in here, you can kind of see what's behind the walls, and it's interesting. So here you have your lath and plaster, right? But then if you come down over here, it's a different, like up here. So this layer is lath and plaster. and then underneath it is this older wood. So I do hope we can get an architectural historian to come out somewhat soon while all of these things are exposed, because that is going to be the easiest way to poke around and look at stuff. Oh my gosh, I totally didn't notice there's actually a shade up there. And if I remember correctly, somewhere in here, and I think it's this actually, this is the current propane inline, which you can see on the outside of the house on the other side. So when we eventually get propane hooked up, I think this is coming out actually, because going forward, the only thing we need propane for is the stove upstairs. And so I believe this is due to come out. So they've also been doing some electrical wiring down here. That's what a bunch of this red stuff is, and this white stuff as well. So they have definitely been working on getting some of the wiring done. You can see wiring pretty much snaking off from a variety of different places. So yeah, not quite the basement that I remember from a couple of months ago, but that's good. That means progress is being made. Let me take you outside. I was en route to outside, but I got distracted because this is the first time in weeks that we have seen the floor of this room. They've usually been using it as like a storage room, which frankly makes sense because we also are going to be using this as our pantry. But you can actually see the floor in here. Oh, and I forgot to show you guys, this has been here for a few weeks. This is the chunk of beam that they cut out of the ceiling in the sitting room to make way for the stovepipe. So that's the hand-hewn side, and look at how chunky this thing is. It is massively thick. They had to cut all the way down through there, and that's a lot of wood. So those are the updates from Saturday the 16th. Now let's jump ahead in time a few days to Wednesday, November 20th. It is Wednesday, September 20th, 2024, and we are out at the house. And before we get into the painting, I have to tell you guys, this is wild. So about 2 hours ago, we got a notice from the New York Weather Service that we're expecting a winter storm tomorrow. We're under a winter storm watch from tomorrow afternoon through Friday afternoon. 4 to 8 inches of snow, 4 in the low, up to 4 inches in the low lying, up to 8 inches in the higher ground. You guys, it is like 55 degrees out here. It is beautiful. It is warm. It's hard to believe that it will be snowing tomorrow, to be honest with you. And it's been a little bit below freezing at night, but I mean, nothing that the ground would be, I don't think, cold enough to stick. And yet they're warning about ice and snow and driving conditions and stuff. So it's wild. It's absolutely wild. So with that said, we're out here checking on the painting progress. I don't think we're going to be fully done tomorrow, but I think we're going to be pretty close. One of the crew members is working on the railings on the other side here, Lewis. And then Ruth and Jessica are working on the back side, which is the only side where the upper story hasn't yet been fully painted. And the deck boards obviously aren't going to be done today, so that will have to be done ideally next week. We're running out of time because it needs to be about 45 degrees for the paint to dry. And looking at the weather forecast next week, there are some dry days in the forecast, but they're right around 42, 45 degrees. So it's definitely a race to get it all done here. So isn't this looking lovely? They've done the edging and the accent board here around the extension. And they asked if they needed to paint that door. They are not painting that door. We're replacing that door. James is going to build us a new one. So one of the challenges that the team was dealing with today on the property is that the sprayer was clogged, and Jess, who you can see here doing the painting by hand, had been trying to unclog it and couldn't figure it out. So she just decided to paint by hand. So she and I are chatting about various things as she's painting. And I got to tell you guys, I had no idea how relaxing it was to watch somebody else do hand painting like this. But it's amazing how quickly the painting went on and how good it looked for the first coat. And it was lovely just to sit and chat. This whole clip was maybe a couple of minutes before I sped it up, but it was really fun. Some of you may remember Jess. She was on the project earlier in the summer. She's actually the one who let me go up into the attic and kind of explained what they'd been doing to remove the old insulation from the attic. And we haven't seen her in a while, and she is one of my favorite people on James's crew. She's just really fun to talk to. So Yeah, so this is what it looked like painting by hand. Do not fear, we did not paint most of the exterior of the house by hand, but you know, in lieu of having a machine that worked, why sit around and do nothing when you can paint by hand instead? Now, normally we don't go out to the property 2 days in a row because usually it takes longer than that to see sustainable changes. But with the painting, it's so easy to see changes, and we were so excited for the work that was being done that we did actually go out to the property the very next day, and we ran into some weather complications. So here's the last clip in this painting montage from November 21st, 2024. I feel a little illicit. The winter storm is supposed to start in about an hour and a half, and we wanted to come see whether the painting had progressed to the point where we could keep our appointment with the bank tomorrow. And I unfortunately don't think they have enough time. But isn't this view great? I was just standing here looking at it. I'm not sure how well it'll show up on video, but how cool to stand here and see the white railings and the green poles. It is pretty much just as lovely as I imagined it. It's gorgeous. So we were here yesterday and they had been working on the railings, and the railings now look fabulous, beautiful and bright and white. So that is really cool. And then let me take you around to the back. They finished the first coat on the back as well. You can see that they did some spray painting up here. I want to give a shout out to Peter's mother for assisting with a sink and faucet purchase. We bought a sink from the reuse store earlier this summer, but we have so loved the deep farmhouse sink that we have in our current rental house that he was raving about it to his mother, and his mother very kindly offered to help with the purchase of our very own kind of industrial sized farm sink. So brand new from Lowe's. I'm going to carry these into the house in a moment, but I wanted to give you a shot. This is going to be our kitchen faucet, and that is what our kitchen sink is going to look like. So we put the sink and the faucet inside and we headed home. It had been raining, just starting to sprinkle when we were out on the property. And sure enough, right around 4 o'clock, it started to really rain. And I was both excited and sad. Sad because the rain meant that we definitely weren't going to finish all the painting, but excited too because the rain was supposed to turn to snow as the night wore on and it got colder. And it was going to be my first New York snow in 5 years since I was last in New York. So I have one more clip to show you, and that is the end result of our weather event. Good morning, friends. It is Friday, November 22nd, 2024, and this is our first snowfall in New York. We have been under a winter storm warning since 4 o'clock yesterday, and they said we might get 1 to 4 inches, and it was a wintry mix, and it was raining and raining and raining all last night, nothing. And I woke up this morning at about 6 and it was snowing, but there was no snow on the ground. So we've gotten just a little bit. It was accumulating for maybe about an hour, and now the precipitation has changed back to rain. So I'm sorry I didn't get any pictures of the actual snow falling, which was beautiful. I kept thinking it would go on and it didn't. And now you can see, if I zoom in, there's quite a lot of ice in that snow. I'm pretty glad we don't have to go anywhere today. The car has had a couple of check engine lights come on, and we were going to take it into the dealership, but not today.